Hello, this is Beth with Around the Table Yarns, and I am about to show you the last steps of the Wandering Lost sock. I have gotten my sock to the beginning of the toe shaping. You can see that I've started to come in on the toe shaping here. So I'm going to demonstrate that, and then I'll pause the video for a second while I get to the top of the toe, and then I will demonstrate grafting. And I'm going to try and write it out in such a way that you can copy it for later use, because I think that grafting, or what has also been called the Kitchener stitch, can be very simple to remember, but I have some tricks for how to do that. So I want to show you how to do that. So first of all, we are at the point on the sock where we stop doing the patterning. So you can see here that I had about 4 rows of plain work with no patterning, just in stockinette stitch. So the top of my patterning stitches are up there. And then you start to decrease 1 stitch in from each side. And on this side, it's an SSK. So you knit 1 SSK, and then you work to the last 3 stitches and you knit 2 together, knit 1, and then I'm turning at that point and repeating the same decreases on the reverse, on the foot side. And there you can see my reverse. Now I am doing a Patty Lyons version of the SSK to try and make it look more like the knit 2 togethers on the other side, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. There's where they started, and they look more or less like the knit 2 togethers, and I will demonstrate that in the next round. So when you've done a decrease and you're looking to see, so the first several rounds of decreases are separated by a plain round of stockinette stitch. And so you can see there's sort of like an up and over and up and over and up and over and up and over. When you have done a decrease in the row before, you'll see this double stitch at the bottom of the second stitch in on each side of your work. And that tells you that you have already done the decrease round. So if you stop in the middle of this and you can't remember where you are, look for that double stitch. You can sort of see that it looks like 1 stitch has got 3 legs coming out of it. 1, 2, 3 legs. Whereas the stitch next to it only has 2 legs coming out of it. This one looks like it's got 3. So that's how you can tell there's been a decrease. So that means, let's see how many stitches I have. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. I have 1 more row before I can do my last decrease. So I'll just do that quick while we're off camera. So now I'm just going to show you again, here's that second stitch in from the end, and now it looks like it has 2 legs because it is 1 row up from the decrease. Here's the decrease, here's the 1 row up. So now I'm ready to decrease again. And I've demonstrated this decrease before. This is the one that Patty Lyons describes. It's an alternate for the SSK. So when you do it, you knit 1 first. So there's my knit 1. And then when you do this decrease, you go knitwise into the stitch that you want to decrease. So this would be the equivalent of slipping the first stitch knitwise. And then you pivot the needle tip into the back of the next stitch. So both of those stitches are still on the needle. And you can kind of see that the first stitch is twisted around my needle. See how I've twisted it? So I'm just going to show you that again. You go into the knit side, knitwise into the first stitch, and then come around the back of that stitch to go into the back of the next stitch. Wrap. Now I like to pull my needles physically apart. See, there's a little bit of space between them, and that makes it easier for me to bring that stitch through. And when it comes off, give it a little tug to make that one lay down flatter. But that's the technique that Patty Lyons talks about for doing an SSK. And then when you get to the other end, it's the The corresponding right leaning decrease is just knitting the two stitches together as usual. So I'll show you that. Get to the other side. There's my 3 stitches left. Oh, come back into focus. 3 stitches, there we go. And then I'm going to go to the left side of those 3 stitches to go knitwise into both and slide them off the needle. And what Patty says about that is that the stitch that you go into first stays on top. So this, you can see the stitch that you went into first was the right-hand stitch, and it stays on top and leans to the left. And the stitch that you go into first on this side is the left-hand stitch, and it lays on top of the right-hand stitch. So that's how we're getting these nice decreases. This sock pattern calls for decreases every other round until there's 18 stitches on the needle. So that's where I am. I'm down to 18 stitches on the needle. So I can show you that decrease again on this side. So knit 1, put your needle in, and I really open up the stitch. See how I'm pulling it open? And then I pivot around to the back of the stitch next to it. So you just have to sort of tell your needle who's boss. Wrap around, and then I'm pulling them apart. See, there's that distance between the needles. They're not right up next to each other. I'm pulling them apart to make the stitch bigger so that when I bring it through, it's not catching on anything and it's coming straight between those 2 stitches there. And that's my decrease. And then we'll go to the other side and do the corresponding knit 2 together. At this point, I will be decreasing on every row. So you do this, you do every other round until there's 18 stitches on the needle. And once there are 18 stitches on the needle, you start decreasing in every round. So every round becomes a decrease round, and you do that for 5 more rounds until there's only 8 stitches on the needle. So I'm going to pause and do that while the camera's not rolling so you don't have to watch. All right, so I've done the rest of the decreases. So as you can see, this rounds the top of the toe up from here. So up to about here, it was every other round, and then starting about here, it's every round until you get to 8 stitches at the end. And when you have 8 stitches, we're ready to do the grafting. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving, you don't need a ton, but you don't want to run out either. So, and you want to be able to easily move with the needle. So I say about 10 or 12 inches of yarn is way plenty, way more than you need. And I talked about this in the class this morning, and I demonstrated it with everybody. And I hope it's helpful, because I think that grafting is just such a great technique. Let's make sure we can read my can't read it. Let's see if I get a nice black pen. Okay, so there are 4 steps to grafting. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first 2 are on the front needle, and the second 2 are on the back needle. And the first one is the part where you take the yarn off, and you go with the tapestry needle, knitwise into the stitch, and take it off and pivot the tapestry needle to go purlwise into the next stitch and leave it on. And then you're going to pull the tapestry needle through the stitch. The next one is you move to the back needle, so I think of this as the front needle here and the back needle here. And on the back needle, you go purlwise and take it off and pivot, and then knitwise, leave it on and pull tapestry through. Okay, so this is the main part of grafting, these 4 steps. And these 2 steps happen in one go, and then these 2 steps happen in one go. This happens on the front needle, this happens on the back needle. So the way that I remember this, and the reason I don't always have to look it up every time I do grafting, is because when I'm looking at my sock, the knit side of the front needle is facing me, and the purl side for the back needle is facing me as well. So again, the knit side of this stitch is facing me, of the stitches on the front needle. So the front needle is the one closest to me, and the back needle is the one further from me, and I can see the purl side. So then you start with the knitwise on the front needle, front knitwise. And you're always going to go off and then leave one on. And what I mean by pivot or pull through is simply that you're going to thread a tapestry needle with the yarn. The tapestry needle is going to go into the first stitch. Hold on one second. Okay, so I've threaded my tapestry needle. And so what I mean by going knitwise is I'm going to go into this stitch, the first stitch on the front needle, as though to knit it. And I don't pull it all the way through. I just use the needle to pull it off the end of the knitting needle. I use the tapestry needle to pull that stitch. And then I pivot the tapestry needle to go purlwise into the next stitch. And it's only when it's in the second stitch that I pull it through. I'm going to pull it all the way through. When the yarn is pulled through, it's on the front of the work. So if you stopped right now and got distracted by something, you'd know what you had completed. You've completed steps 1 and 2 because you pulled the tapestry through on the front side. Now you can go to the back, and keeping the yarn below the tips of the needle, you're going to go purlwise into the first stitch and bring it off, and then pivot the needle knitwise into the second stitch. And it's only when it's knitwise in the second stitch that I pull the tapestry needle through, and I pull it through quite firmly. Then I'm going to come back to the front. So on the front, I'm going to go knitwise and off, and then purlwise and leave on, pulling the needle through. Purlwise and off, knitwise, leave on, pull through. Knitwise and off the front, purlwise, leave on, pull the tapestry needle through, be firm, purlwise, off, pivot the needle to go knitwise into the next one. And then you just keep going to the end. Sorry, I had a little coughing fit, so I turned off my audio. Knitwise, and you're going to get to the last ones. Off. So at this point, you're going to slide the 2 needles out. You've already been once through both of those stitches. Put your hand into the sock. Whoop, and you're going to take the needle and go right between the stitches. Grab it with your fingers and pull through to the inside to get rid of those ears. And that's the graft. So it's just across those 8 stitches. And when you do it, omitting the setup and the finish of the grafting steps, you get this nice smooth top of your sock. So which steps did we omit? It's important if you're doing grafting on something else. For example, if you're grafting a scarf to make an infinity scarf, you want to have the setup. So the setup is the on steps. So the setup is 2 and 4. So front needle, back needle, purlwise, and leave on, and pivot. And then the back needle, you go knitwise and leave on and pull the tapestry needle through. The finish, so if you were doing this finish, you would want to do the off steps. So 1 and 3, 1 and 3. So front needle, back needle, you would go knitwise and off, pivot, purlwise, and off, pull through. But the setup and the finish on socks leaves the little sock ears. So we omit on socks. And we just do the 1 through 4 on the socks. So I hope that's really helpful because doing grafting on your socks, sorry, this is grafting. Is a really nice way to finish up for a leg down sock. Okay. Any questions? Well, our next sock is going to start in November on a day. In November, it's going to start on November. I always have to look. 4th. So we'll be doing the next sock at 10 o'clock in person and 6 o'clock on Zoom. The next sock is, I think it's Tanis Lavali. Hold on 1 second and I will pull it up. All right, so this is the Project Monday page on our website. I'm going to click on Project Monday and go to Sock Club 2024. And on that page, here's the one we just finished. So exciting. Here was October 7th. So the video will be here shortly. And then next month, we're doing the Trusty Toe Up Sock by Tanis Lavali. And we're going to place We're going to be doing an afterthought heel with this sock. So I'm really excited about that. We may be able to finish it in 2 months. I'm not sure. If we can't finish it in 2 months, we'll go on to January. The trusty toe up socks pattern is available by clicking on the link here, and it is a free download. So you can just click on that and get the pattern. So we will be able to show it on the Zoom, and it's just a 3-page pattern. It calls for yarn in fingering weight, depending on your size, and we'll talk about sizing. It's a fingering weight yarn should knit 32 stitches to 4 inches. And they're doing it on size 1, but you should use the needles that you need to get 32 stitches to 4 inches. And then here is a little bit about doing toe-up socks. We're going to be doing, we can do it in Magic Loop. We are going to be demonstrating Judy's Magic Cast On to get started and shaping the toe and then placing the heel. And that'll be at least the first class. And then they do give you 2 options. One is a short row heel and one is an afterthought. We're going to be working the afterthought heel just because I don't think we've done it for a while, and I think it would be a really great thing. So that's where the pattern is. That's how to get a hold of it. It starts on November 7th, and then we'll do it again on December 9th. And we may finish it on December 9th. I'm not sure. So I hope I see you both there. And I think that's it. I think I've shown all the things. Ooh, there we go. Okay. Any other questions? I really enjoyed making this sock with you. I hope that you've enjoyed it too. And I look forward to getting started on a toe-up pair next month. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you in a month.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye.